strictly sports stuff. And
well, what the heck was I doing?
It's funny to think of a time in which you would have to go to another city to get the best stuff or to get the best selection, and you want to know one name that was made famous by Hot 103 Jams. Was Harold Pinner.
Oh, Harold Pinner.
Harold Pinner had every color of Dickies. Yeah. They had all thug wear. Yes,
I never went. I can't believe I never went. I think I was too scared. I was too scared to go to Harold Pinner's.
The times I wanted to go as a child getting into fashion, I couldn't drive. Yeah. And then by the time I could drive, it was like, what was the store? I can't. No, hell no. The Buckle.
Oh, yeah. The Buckle came around, and then you had access to all kinds of stuff.
And it was Tommy was in.
Yeah, Tommy was in. Lucky.
I was in. But $85 jeans, baby, and $65 shorts.
Oh, gosh. That was so expensive then. There was not a pair of jeans that had been more than $40 before that in my world.
No, I mean, Levi's have always been $40.
Yeah. And then Tommy Hill with the Carpenter loop was $85. And we were like, wow, look at that little label thingy on the Carpenter loop. Everybody knows what kind of jeans those are.
Man.
And they're so baggy. Mine were so long that the 34 was the shortest you could get.
I don't know where the hell you were going, your short ass. You should have never been 34 length.
That was
you were wearing.
Yeah,
stop, man.
I would have to. No, I had to do all kinds of crazy things.
Where you were going?
I had them hemmed.
I have only worn 32 length my entire life, and I had every kind of Tommy
maybe
jeans.
Because you didn't get the first pair of Tommies ever anywhere. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why you didn't have them.
So you got them before.
I don't know.
Cool.
Where did you get them with the 32 length? The Buckle in Topeka must be tall people.
Yeah, Buckle Manhattans. They had me.
Okay. Well, now we're grown-ups.
Yes, and I am feeling really, really good today.
What's that all about?
I don't know. I don't even want to deconstruct it, but there is one thing in the back of my mind that's been in the front of my mind and all over my mind, and that is the fact that you, my friend, my co-host, my brother in real estate, is about to become a father in real estate and in real life.
That's right. There's going to be a little homeboy. Or homegirl.
That's right.
Yeah. And they'll probably just roll right into the real estate family, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our other little one, she's in the office 2-3 times a week just working, you know, just playing on her iPad, you know? But
how long have you been keeping this secret from me, you son of a biscuit eater?
It's been, we knew immediately.
Wait a second. Stop! Waiter, what are you saying?
I've been keeping a secret for 2.5 months, probably.
What's this? We knew immediately stuff. What do you? Please clarify that for the squeamish.
Is a charter, you know.
Oh God,
we've been trying. We've been trying for like 5 months. You know, we got the apps going on. We got the levels. Like, she is a tracker of things, and we had a plan. And she used the apps. She has her ring, and she's reading. You know, we know when the best times are, and sometimes the best times didn't work. And then we messed up and got off schedule, and boom!
But how did she know immediately? Stop, man! Come on, man! What is this technology you talking about?
Do you know that you can get pregnancy test packages for, like, if you buy them in bulk for like $2 each? So you can just, we're
Wait
just thinking.
A second. Wow. So y'all was taking them like pills.
Oh, yeah. We're just testing. We're just, when we know it's time to test. No, we don't. We're not pregnant. Oh, dang. Next month, test. No, test. Boom, we are.
Okay.
Except it made it to where I didn't get to sit in on seeing the line appear. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah, that sucks.
Is that a thing?
You sitting in on it. I mean, how long? Maybe I went by that. from her seeing the right lines, and you knowing.
Probably just half a day, maybe, or maybe a couple of hours.
Oh
or something
my gosh,
like that.
Were you like out in the field or something? Or
I'm not sure. I don't. You know, to be honest, I can't remember.
She probably told a lot of people first.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't tell you. I'll have to talk to her about that next time. Tell Chris first.
Okay, well, I'm glad we could clarify that, because I'm sorry, but when and maybe Neil knows what I'm talking about here, but when you said we knew immediately, the movie Species came to mind.
That's probably what it'll be, or it'll be what's the movie where the little alien came out of the tummy, like in the restaurant? Do you remember that movie? Do you know what that was?
I feel like that's been done a few times.
Oh, probably has. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, our little resident alien will be a future residential real estate agent, and they'll probably come and sit in on our podcast, Hangin
with the homeboys. That's right.
You guys are here with us. It is December 11th, 2024, and we're ready to bring you guys some more,
That's right.
So I think what we're going to start with today is under our home field advantage segment, we're going to talk about something with buyers and people that have not been buyers yet even. They need to realize something about what it happens to your wealth after you buy a home.
Yeah.
And also think about where most people's wealth is in America.
There we go.
Do they keep it in bank accounts? Is it in the under the mattress? Is it,
Yeah.
Where is it?
Pit bulls? Not sure. But we were given a graph of information recently. And when you see a graph like that, it is hard to unsee what you now know. And honestly, the graph really does make sense. I mean, it talks about earnings of the top 1% earners in the United States. Then it breaks it down to the top 10% of earners in the United States. And then it's like everybody else, like the bottom like 80%, and where our wealth and how it is constituted. And the top of the world and the 1%, they have, a bunch of their money in, financial assets and, stock markets and stuff like that. And they still have, at least 10 some percent in the real estate market. But then once you get down to the next 19%, we start to see a trend where the amount of financial assets that constitute a person's wealth, it goes down a lot from the 1%. And then you start seeing the amount of real estate wealth go up. But the financial assets are still higher than the real estate at that point. It's once you get to the bottom 80%, which is us.
That's
okay,
us.
just let you know.
It's definitely me.
Regular folks.
Definitely Neil.
Okay.
Yeah. In this
Don't
room.
know if you know what it takes to be in the top 20%, but it's a lot more than we make. And that's when the graph completely shifts. And we're talking about 401ks, stock markets, that kind of stuff. It really represents about maybe 15 to 18% of our wealth is going to be in that stuff. And most of it is wrapped up in real estate. And does that mean that the bottom 80% of the United States are real estate investors? No.
Only in one sense. Only in one home.
Oh, good call. Good call. Most of this wealth is from the primary residence of somebody that just bought a home and kept it.
I think you know that because you've been aiming at it. We've heard that that's the American dream. You need to buy a home and that's how you make it. And that's what it appears that 80% of people are doing. And that's why we think that what we can have to offer you as buyer agents and seller agents, realtors, is very important. This is your wealth that we're talking about, and we want to be here to help you with every aspect of that, every consideration that you have, whether it be staying in your house, how long you should stay there and what you should do to it, or if you should sell that house and buy another one. So,
or should you keep that first house and still buy another one to live in, right? These are the things that we can not only can we show you on graphs of what's going on, but guys like him and I, we've taken some of these real estate investment chances on our own. So we can show you what our own investment portfolio, how it's performing. And you start realizing that, wow, I know a lot of people, they think that, there's some magic limit to how many home loans you can have. Mm-hmm. And there's some kind of limit to how much money that you can have out there financed. But as long as there is some income coming from the multiple home loans that you have, there is no limit. There's people out here that probably have 20, 30, 40 different home loans out there. And as long as they're cash flowing, it's not hurting their credit. It's not hurting them, and they're planting little seeds that'll grow up into big investments later.
With investment properties and residential homes, even if you're proving that you are just making the payment, you don't even necessarily have to cash flow every year.
Right.
Sometimes you might have a vacancy and you pay into that, but you have to think about that home, that investment property that you've bought, as wealth. Like, you are saving every month. When someone is making that payment for you, that loan payment, they're paying your loan. That's equity that you're building. And for me, I'm not the biggest saver in the world. I save up and then I buy something. Usually it's an investment like that, or a house. And really, the wealth that I have, I mean, it feels funny to call it wealth, but what I have is all in real estate for the most part. I put some money in stocks, and I put some money in 401 or a Roth IRA and that kind of thing. But the bulk of any progress that I've made since 2007, when I got into the real estate business, and 2009, when I bought my first home, is in equity, in property value, and from appreciation. And a lot of the way through there, I didn't have a whole lot of money every month, a lot of cash flow even, but I had a lot of bills, but I paid all those bills. And then you get to sell that house later if you want to, or refinance, and you can pull a lot of cash out of real estate.
That's right. So whether we're talking to an agent right now, or we're talking to somebody that already has a relationship with a real estate agent, understand that they're not just people, and we are not just people to help you find somewhere to live. We truly are wealth advisors. And for 80% of our population, we're wealth advisors on the most important and largest asset that you actually have. So let that sink in when it comes to why you do what you do. And every deal is more than just another deal, because we're talking about somebody's entire life savings here.
When we reach out to you, it's about that. It's not about another deal for us, another sale, another purchase. We're really having our hearts that we want you to do the best that you can, to prosper as much as you can, because actually your prosperity, then that becomes another deal for us. Us helping you with your prosperity actually helps our success as a real estate agent. So,
I mean, we're drawing up a play, and then down the line, it scores a touchdown. You're going to come back to me and say, draw me up another touchdown play, please.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it works.
It could be at the buzzer every game with the field goal off the upright, like the Chiefs do and just did last Friday, or was it Sunday every week?
Yeah, every week.
Well, since we're talking about money, Chris, you had a story you were going to tell about a little bit of maybe nickel and diamond, or lost change.
Listen, guys. In the real estate world, there are a lot of moving parts, and as agents, what we are trying to do is accomplish a goal. The main goal is to get everybody to the closing table on time. And a lot of times those moving parts that need to be shuffled around they have money attached to them. Sometimes you deal with buyers or sellers or clients in general who say, listen, I don't know nothing about nothing. If you tell me you got a guy that'll fix the roof that we need fixed so we can sell this house, get him on out here. I want hands off. And there's a lot of people that will rely on your expertise. But sometimes the guy that you have go out there, he needs his money right now. He can't wait until closing. And you, as an agent, might decide, you know what, I can cover this cost as long as they agree to pay me back at closing. If this moves me forward to getting the bigger check, I will risk X amount of hundreds of dollars, just to get us to the next step. Because if that's the only thing that's stopping us from getting to the next step, I can do something about it, maybe I will. And so really the question is really about, have you ever been in this? You've done more deals than I have even forgotten about thinking to do. So have you ever been in that? How often does that happen where you don't feel like squeezing the client? You just make the payment to the tradesman so we can get them off your back, and in good faith, they'll pay you back at closing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're talking about is saving time. You're being efficient. You're making the decision for the greatest good, and it's just for a repair. It could be the smallest thing, or it could even be a big thing. And again, what you're trying to do is make sure that while you have that contractor there, he can just do it right now. Instead of, hey, come back tomorrow, and then he tells you, oh, I can't come back till next week. And all right, I'm like, I need to drive across town and get the money. They're going to write a check. They don't have their checkbook, so we just do it. I do it on a regular basis. I pay for it. I just hope that my clients are going to pay me back, and they usually do.
Yeah.
You know, and rarely have I ever made a decision where the client said, no, I wouldn't have done that. I don't even know if I can remember a situation like that. So your agent, your buyer agent or your seller agent is in your corner. That is part of the service that we provide to you guys, is having that network of people that can get there and get it done, and having the wherewithal to know if we should pay them for that or not. Also by knowing that it's a good deal or it's not a good deal. And even by getting it done right now while that person's there, that could actually make it cheaper, because it's less time that contractor has to travel there and travel home and travel back and travel home again.
Come on.
There are a lot of aspects to it, and I feel pretty good about it. Do you always come out on top, or how has it worked out for you?
I've never been stiffed. And, you know, for me, I would say this, guys, to the fellow agents out there, this is a case by case situation. You need to know your client. Okay. And I want you to understand something. There's some clients that you don't even want to be involved in recommending the tradespeople. Okay.
Oh yeah.
There's certain clients where you can say, I'm gonna hook you up with my guy.
Yeah.
And then there's other clients where you give them 3 random people.
Yeah. Random that you know and trust.
That have nothing to do with you. They're not your nothing. Because once you give them your guy and your guy doesn't perform the way they expected, and because you didn't gauge the situation properly, and you got a meticulous person or this person or that person who is prone to complaining,
looking for a pitfall.
You need to let that be their issue and keep it in their court. And there's some people that you got to withhold those type of services for, because it can and will bite you. And that is a sixth sense that working with people over time, you will know which ones that you can go out there. Because like I said, and what I'm talking about is not being stiffed. We're not talking about cheap people. We're talking about people who are prone to complain, or just, there's always something wrong with their food. Every time they go to the dang restaurant, it ain't never good enough.
Send it back.
Yeah.
Send back that plumbing repair. I don't want it. Yeah. I don't want that P-trap they just installed. Yeah. You can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't believe the guy wore those shoes and didn't put booties on. And you just got to know that's a sensitivity. But I haven't been stiffed. The amount of money that I picked up today, though, I'm just going to say this: if my wife knew that I put us out there in that regard. How about
that's a lot of money? We're moving on.
Why don't we move on?
Bleep that part out. Just a long bleep. You don't have to edit it out, because we want to see his face that whole time. So that's a little home field advantage for the agent. Now for a seller. So we're, from all this stuff, one day we'll probably write a book. Yeah. I'm going to start a little bit with the foreword right now. I'm going to tell us this is the foreword to the nonfiction, the novel. Is that a thing that we're going to write about the real estate industry? And the foreword it's actually just 4 words. That's what it is. What happened was the seller in the deal that I'm doing right now said that they disclosed a defect on the property, and because they disclosed it in the written seller's disclosure that we get as a buyer before we write an offer, that when our inspector went and discovered the problem and outlined what it was, they said that we could not claim that it needed to be repaired because they disclosed it with 4 words. Those words were some rot on bottom.
Ooh,
that's it.
Some rot on bottom.
I mean,
of
ground shaking. I mean, what kind of imagery does that bring to your mind? And what type of detail has been specified for you?
What component of the house are we talking about? Help us with that.
This is the siding. There were 16 pieces of siding that had issues, and they were all over different parts of the house. And it was a question about termites and something else, right squeezed into an area smaller than 1.5 centimeters, which is the size of my baby right now. No, 1.6 inch. I need to check that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
peanut size.
Squeezed into that area, it were 4 jumbled, scribbled words that I couldn't even really read that said some rot on bottom. And then the agent made the argument to me too that hey, the seller disclosed that siding. You can't claim that.
Okay, so let me interject immediately. Number one, it is true that if you have lap siding on your house or any kind of siding, the rot that we do normally see is along the bottom.
It's always on the bottom.
It's always on the bottom. Okay, that is a common spot for rot to happen. We're not even going to go into why that is the right spot for rot to happen.
Right.
But your inspector found way more than just on the bottom. Had to have been, right?
I mean,
Or maybe he didn't.
No.
Maybe there were other spots that were not bottom located.
Oh, there was some rot on the bottom.
Of course.
But there was also, it was actually on the bottom of all the pieces. It might have been on the corner. It was up above some windows. Like, the point is, that's not any kind of detail at all. It actually doesn't tell us anything before we write our offer.
No.
Actually, what it tells, let's just say that we would have written the offer with that knowledge that there's some rot on the bottom, right? And in our offer, we would have written, seller shall repair all siding where it's rotten on the bottom, okay? Now, what would that do? Do you think that we would have come to agreement today or tomorrow? Or would the seller have been like, you know what? I probably need to get a bid before I can agree to this, you know?
And so I think you have just nailed it. It's the bid. If we have a disclosure that doesn't have a bid to repair, is it even a disclosure?
I mean,
kind of like let's go basement. Let's talk
about basement. Right. So
I'm disclosing that, hey, sometimes it gets wet when it rains a whole bunch. So now does that absolve me from getting to the bottom of what it would take to stop the wetness from happening? I mean, does that now make it to where you can't negotiate that? We told you that it got wet sometimes.
Because the inspector comes and the inspector says, oh, there's a crack right here, and it's cracked or the dirt is low and the water comes in here. So does that mean because you said that it gets wet in the basement sometime that we don't need to look at the crack anymore or the dirt outside? We can't look at that stuff because you said that short sentence about that. If you would have even said some cracks in basement walls, does that mean that now if the basement wall has come in, when the inspector says that the wall needs to be braced with 8 $400 I-beams, does that mean that is now negated? It certainly does not.
Now, here's the other thing I want to know. We deal with agents on the other side that pull this kind of stuff. I would say, 2% of the time? Is it a 2% situation?
Maybe. It's motivating me to ask something, but go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, go.
Well, all I'm saying is that I made the argument that was insufficient, and I provided the explanation of why, like we just talked about, and I provided an example of disclosing it correctly with a bid and how it worked out just fine.
This lawyer went out and pulled precedents, and laid it out in front of the jury.
This is one text message.
Davis versus Texas, 1972. This is how it's supposed to look.
One reference to a listing that just closed, like blocks away from the house. So I just referenced that. And then 2 days later, they still made the argument in the last presentation that we still maintain that the seller disclosed the siding. And I just said that's wildly insufficient.
Wildly. So we're still in we're still fighting right now. This has not been adjudicated.
We just came. We argued to the last minute just via text. But what I want to do, because I want to know about this agent. I want to ask him, and I've asked an agent recently after the transaction. Hey, when you were making that argument, was that your argument, or were you just making that argument on behalf of the seller? Like, do you believe that was sufficient disclosure? Because I want to know, like, does she or does she not?
Yeah. Like every time I have a deal of yours, am I going to have to take Section 12F and be weird about it and say my repair request will include this thing that you halfway alluded to? What do we got to do?
I actually had somebody, I'll just mention this one real quick, like 3 months ago, I had like 3 closings in one day or something, went to the final walkthrough. They had removed fixtures, shelves. So I messaged her and I said, hey, look, the fixtures are gone. Those need to be put back or we need to be compensated for those. And she goes, those are not fixtures. Those are connectable or something, like some kind of, and I was like, look, I've never heard of anything like that. It's bolted to the house. It's a fixture.
Yeah.
And I just called her team leader immediately because I didn't have time to mess with it. And then she told me later that she was just making that argument because that's what the seller said. Yeah. So I get that. Sometimes you have to do that. And that's why I kind of want to know.
See, but man. See, listen. I can't stand. Listen, as an agent, I will put in a bad offer for you that makes no sense and has no way of being justified money wise. I'll do that all day. But it's up to us to push back on things that are outside of the contract.
Yeah.
Okay. It's up to us to clarify and say, hey, man, I don't know if I was a little too fast and loose or you didn't read this or whatever, but we don't have an argument here, and here's why. Anything that is screwed or glued to this house is part of the house, and I should. But nobody wants to say I apologize. Nobody wants to say I should have maybe went over that a little bit more slowly or whatever. So they'll just argue, yeah, fine. Forget what I know. Forget how I would feel if I was on the other side of this.
Sellers, I mean,
and I'm just going to be an order taker. And I bring that up every other episode about the difference between a real consultant and an order taker. But I'm sorry. That's what you're talking order taker type behavior.
It is. And you know what the consultants are doing, what us agents are doing for sellers, especially because listing a house is so complicated, is we are aligning things optimally. It's not going to be perfect. Some stuff's going to get removed. There are explanations that might not happen. There are things that were given to the seller that they might have not been able to read. So when those things go awry, we are there to line them back up and also apologize and make explanations and also temper the high emotions and high positions, high energy actions planned, and bring it all back into line so that we make a deal. There are things that can tip a deal the wrong way, and that's what we do as an agent, is temper all of that and meet with somebody on the other side that's supposed to be doing the same thing for the other client. Come on. So that's how we pull deals together.
That's right.
And that's how that's a version of homeology or homology. I feel like I want to call it homeology, so it's more sciencey. You think?
I don't know, man. It kind of goes against the spirit of what you were trying to do, Mr. Dad Joker. See, when you were making a lot of these dad jokes, you were a dad to be, and you just didn't want to tell me. So it's all making sense now.
I had secret dad riz over the past 2.5 months that I hadn't let anybody know about. Somebody that came into our office and gave some Topeka riz, right, or had some Topeka Riz, was Marcia Sheehan. We're angling to get her on our show as our first guest, maybe. She said she would. Neil's smile, he's cheesing over there.
She did say that she would, and she's her energy and her fervor for her hometown, Topeka, Kansas, is obviously evident in every presentation that she does. And it was one of the best presentations that I've seen here because I am wildly in love with my city and learning all of the things that shaped our city. And one of the biggest things that I took from that and that she made sure that she illuminated was that the biggest things that changed the destiny of our city truly were not government actions. They were not things that the government did. If in fact it was in reparation of many of the things that the government might have done, but it was all people coming together, communities of people forming clubs, forming. A lot of our grandparents were in some of these clubs and we didn't get it. We didn't understand what people were doing at these different, Rotary Club and Optimist Club and all these. They would come together, they would identify a problem, and they would find a way to solve it together. And there's something so heartwarming about that, especially when we now live in a time where people think it's cute to barely even know who their own neighbor is, I
mean, those clubs, all those groups, all those causes, I mean, it's pseudo government. I mean, it's with the same principles in mind. It's just not as bound by public funds and public guidance, it's like,
and it's because we want to, not because somebody set up 2040, we have to do it.
Well, that's the thing. They got a bunch of people together that wanted to do the same thing, and the people that didn't want to do it weren't in the club. That's right. The thing with government is everybody kind of wants the same thing, but some people don't want it, and they're in the government.
That's right.
I'm not saying that those people are bad. I'm saying that the not being bound by the rules of government allows the club to be more efficient and build Topeka. This presentation that she gave, she has a display that she's drawn with colored markers, and it's probably like 40 feet, 20, 30 feet long. It's got little pictures. It's a timeline. It's a chronological timeline of the city of Topeka and when companies opened and closed and groups of people moved from different parts of Topeka to other parts of Topeka and influential leaders that spearheaded developments and that kind of thing. It's really cool.
That's right. Yeah. Areas that were outside of the original Topeka city limits that were later annexed and become part of Topeka today that we just take for granted. Most of the people walking around here don't know that there are parts of Topeka that weren't always in Topeka. They were their own cities and towns and incorporated in some type of way. And they were swallowed up as we continued to progress and develop. So it's definitely a timeline that I want my kids to be able to see. If I can find it online, I will be showing it with them because I am just so proud of everything that we have done as Topekans and as Kansans, and I want to be part of the next generation that possibly, just possibly, 50 years from now could be part of a timeline like that.
It's really cool to see that all displayed too. I mean, in on one wall, because how else would you learn all that in a book where you're flipping all the pages and maybe you don't finish the book? It was just a very efficient way to learn things that we might not ever learn if we don't see it in that fashion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if you're not a nerd, that's fine. But for the nerds out there, and if you don't live here in Topeka, if you live anywhere, find out. Find out your city's history. It will make you look at certain places, certain things, and certain people and families in a completely different light. And that's my call to action today.
Marcia was invited to our office for our annual kickoff, and she was a director or possibly even some type of a vice president or something at Greater Topeka Partnership for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And she was invited that day by our marketing director, Neil Schober, who runs our podcast over here. One of these days, we'll get a microphone in front of this guy. Sometimes he has it. What's up with today, man? I know you had to reset up all this stuff so we could get the Christmas tree in the background, but you didn't even set up a mic for you. Come on, man. That's a different show.
That's right. Yeah. Put in the comments if you want to see Neil in front of the camera instead of always behind the camera. Just please show some Neil love, because the guy is. I mean, he does have a face for TV. Let me just say that right now.
Since he's doing all that with the decor, that's a good segue to our next section, which is Full House.
That's right.
And that's where we talk about design trends and things that you might need to do to your house. And, man.
What do you need to do to your house, brother?
I need to make a nursery?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do I do, guys? Like, I've barely held a baby in my life. I haven't been around babies. Have you ever changed anybody's diaper? Has anybody let you do that? Maybe once. I don't know. Yeah. I was a very irresponsible babysitter one time, and a couple times, I didn't change that baby's diaper. There was like 3 kids. It was.
Yeah. You had an.
Can we edit that part out? That was I was like 9 or 12 or. Ooh. I had to be anyway. Wow, whatever.
It's been a long time.
Anyway, no, I've never changed a diaper that I can remember.
Wow.
So I need a diaper changing area.
Possibly.
I need a. Well, I asked her if we have an a desk up there. I was like, can we use the desk? Do we have to get that out of the room? She said no. She said, we can't use the desk.
Let me ask you this about your home's layout. See, one of the things about my unique, and some people would say bad things about the layout at my house, is that we live in a house that has a second story, and it is only our master bedroom up there. That's it. Mm-hmm. So we don't have the luxury of when we had our child of having a room on the same level as our kid. So every time something happened, we had to go downstairs, come around to the main floor, get it handled. But you don't have that problem, right? Do you have, in fact, a room upstairs that's earmarked for this child?
See, our primary bedroom is on the main floor. That's right. And then 3 bedrooms are on the second floor.
So you do have the same problem.
We do have the same problem. What did you do? Did you combine? Did you bring, you know, little Chris into your room?
So we did a bassinet for probably a month.
Okay.
Not very long. Listen, guys.
And that's the baby bed?
I'm talking to, yes.
Okay.
Doesn't need its own room. But guys, one thing I've learned as a father of 3 is if your children get used to sleeping in your bed, or even you get used to them sleeping in your bed, it will be something that you deal with for years. Okay. So knowing that, we got him used to being in his own environment very, very early. So after 1 month, and it's better on the lady, especially if we got breastfeeding going on. You know, you don't want them to have to run hear the crying, wake up, go all the way around the earth, to handle it. You know, so for us, we got really good with the swaddle, a Velcro swaddle at that. And we found that the tighter that we bound him up at night, the longer he would sleep.
Okay.
And what we found was we didn't swaddle at first. And we found that his arms he would wake himself up just probably while he was dreaming.
I can see
with
him
his
doing
own
that.
arms.
Yeah.
And so when you burrito wrap him, all of a sudden that goes away.
Burritos fix everything. I've heard that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we were able to get him to sleep through the night, within just a couple of months, which allowed us to put him down in his crib. And, I think we only had to wake up and feed in the night maybe a month and a half. My wife would have to, tell the tape on that one. So it really wasn't that bad.
Well, Amanda's had all those knee surgeries the past 2 years, like 6 surgeries in 2 years. And if that room is upstairs, like I was thinking it would be like 50-50. Like sometimes she goes up there, sometimes I go up there.
And you can do that.
But I didn't think about the breastfeeding part. Does that make it like 70-30? Or
those chair lifts.
The chair lift? Like with the Jack Black movie, whatever that. That's one of my favorite scenes in a movie. It's a movie scene in a movie. Is that in Step Brothers? Is it like in Step Brothers where the Jack Black is talking to the older lady and she's like, "I love you," or he's like, "I love you," and she's like, "No," and she's like going up the stairs. He's like, "Stop pressing the button! Stop! Don't go up the stairs!" But yeah,
I think you're right.
Oh, if we got a lift like that, and then we got like a Ghostbusters pole, like a firehouse pole. Okay, real stuff. What should we do? So we do have like a parlor, it was an old formal dining room that we didn't. We turned into something else, and we don't really use it.
Yeah,
I mean that's outside the bedroom, but it's also by the front door where the dogs go in and out. So
you're thinking that maybe the
hot.
baby could sleep there?
I don't know.
Ain't
No, I mean, I have no idea, dude. I don't know.
I don't see that.
Why not? It's a room.
There's just something about having a door that you can close and it's over.
So the baby
Set
needs
that camera up.
The quiet room that's off. So it's just going to have to be upstairs in a bedroom.
And it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. That we buy houses with stairs knowing that, what?
Do you think maybe Amanda could give up her primary bedroom closet for a while
and turn that into a little
nursery? I know this is ridiculous.
It's not.
That's
People
not ridiculous.
do stuff like this. No, you have to make creative decisions just to get through that first year, But my advice is to get that child used to their own surroundings and comfortable with it as quickly as possible.
We're about to put all the stuff on our registry that we need. We're thinking about getting like a travel set stroller kind of thing where like the seats like click into all different types of stuff. If you have a super duper solution, I think I guess we want one that is also a bassinet. You guys, I just hear these words,
it's like
and I'm like
5-in-1 baby carrier type situation.
You said bassinet. Oh, you said nursery. That's all I know. I don't really know how any of this
side by side motorcycle
together right now. All right. Well, I'm learning. So, all right, for a house party, I usually tell something or we tell a little funny story, I was just going to mention something that happened to me the other day when I got out of the car and I got the mail at night. And the next day I came out and I saw a couple of pieces of mail sitting in my driveway, or like right next to the driveway. And I thought, that's a little weird. I'm going to go pick that up. And I got out of the truck. And
now, obviously, you dropped them the night before, right?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, that was your fault.
It was my fault.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And I thought, and I got out of the truck and I saw some dookie right there, some feces. It was like, and I was like, oh man, deer. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to tell Amanda and Grace that we probably had a deer on our property, because we live out on like 3 acres. And I was just thinking that's a funny sign, but it's nice to know that we might have had a deer going through the property. So I went over and I picked up the mail, and I'm lucky the dogs didn't pick it up. Well, actually I'm not, because the dogs can't go to that area because it's wire fenced off. Picked it up, got in my car, drove to work. And I was just thinking, I think I might have even texted Amanda. There was a deer in our yard or something. There was an animal in our yard. And I got to the office and I grabbed the mail and I was like, I know that smell. And I turned it over and something had peed on my mail. And I know it wasn't the dogs. And I was like, oh man, a deer. I guess the deer probably peed on my mail. And I didn't know, so I've got it on my hands. I'm like rubbing it all over my steering wheel while I'm driving to work and all that. And then we got into work and I had some conversations with people, and we determined that it's probably not a deer. And it wasn't rabbits.
Oh, and that's only, whoa, don't skip the best part. You were able to make that determination because you had pictures of the feces.
Pictures of there were seeds in there. There were like seeds, and I wanted to ask.
He tried to gloss
some
over the fact
people,
that he's a, what do we call that, a fecophiliac? I don't know.
We determined from the seeds and the shape of the nodule, the pods, that it was probably a raccoon.
Ooh.
A raccoon peed on my mail at my house, and I rubbed it all over my steering wheel. So there's a moral to the story, and it is...
yes.
What do you think it could be?
That raccoons are funnier than we've been giving them credit for this entire time.
I always thought that anyway.
You could have peed anywhere.
I'm not even mad.
You could have peed anywhere, but you said, "Oh, wait. I know who's this
now,
is."
Now, if it was a possum, I still think it's cute. I still like it,
Man, how come you don't have your Ring camera going out to the end of your? Don't tell me that you're.
It might have it.
Man.
It might have it. I think somebody stole our lit up address sign 2 weeks ago.
Baloney! No, ain't no way! I remember you having that.
Yeah, we got another one. Before the party, right?
Wow!
But my street spy camera doesn't point at the street. It just points at who comes up my driveway.
Right.
Like when I know Amazon guys are there and all that. But it does point where the dookie was.
Man, it might. I need to go back find out when you were sending Dookie text messages and then cross-reference that date and time.
So easy. If there was any motion that evening, we're good to go.
Yeah, we need. Okay,
we'll get back to you guys.
There you go. This is not over.
We need a section called Homeboy Update or something. Neil.
Yes, like that same update that you get at the end of Unsolved Mystery sometimes. And we like when they actually saw it.
She was found.
Wow.
Eating an ice cream at Baskin Robbins 7 years later. It was cookies and cream. Neil, what do you think, dude? There's so many highlights, so many things that people will want to know more about from today, right?
Yeah. So Chris, we were talking about swaddling babies.
Yes.
And then Luke said burritos fix everything.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lie, because burritos can cause some rot on bottom.
The forward!
They might as well have put on the soda disclosure, house had fourth meal. If they were listening to 4 words.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
right on bottom.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's the home run right there. Usually you want more from us. You just did it, bud.
Oh yeah. Everybody's going home on that one. That was great.
Look, we should just wrap up in a big burrito right now.
You dang right. As long as I get to be the meat. Wait a second. All right.
Well, that's the finale of Hangin'
with the Homeboys.
We love seeing you guys. Please like, share, subscribe.
That's right.
And let us know something in the comments.
Please.
Goodbye.
See ya.